The Icons of Real Estate Podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing Icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week with your host, Tomasz Fonseca, and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business, from $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters at Real Estate Marketing, Ardor SEO.
Welcome to the Icons of Real Estate. I'm your host, Tim Calloway. We have a very special guest for you today from Athens, Georgia, Justin Woodall with Woodall Realty Group, brokered by eXp Realty. Justin is a husband and father to 3 children. He began his real estate career in 2004 as an individual agent in Athens. As his business grew, he began providing opportunities for other agents who now run his team. Woodall Realty Group, which is brokered by eXp Realty, did about 200 to 300 transactions each year and around 60 to 70 million in total volume. Welcome to the show, Justin. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. So, you got into the business in around 2004. Tell me, were you in another industry before that, or was it your first, foray into real estate? How'd you get started?
I was. So I graduated from the University of Georgia in 2001. So I'm still here in Athens. Go Dogs. So I graduated in 2001, and I actually went to work for a seed industry, Pennington Seed, about 30 minutes away from Athens. And in that career, it was just my first job out of college. I learned a lot, but I just didn't wake up excited to go to work. It was, like I said, it was good to learn. I learned about trucking. I learned about packaging. I learned about managing employees. Learned a lot of various things related to business, but just did not enjoy that work. And so in real estate, so 2004, started exploring real estate and took the jump out of the corporate space into the world of real estate.
Nice. And was it a pretty easy transition for you, or, how'd you get started? Were you boots on the ground, door to door, picking up the phone, or?
Yeah. So it was, just hard work, I guess. It was, we didn't have kids at the time and my wife was working. So at least we had a little bit of income to cover our bills, for me to be able to jump into a commission only structure. But, I'm kind of wired that I like to be compensated for the value that I bring. And if I can produce more, I like to be paid more. That didn't happen at my corporate salary job.
Right.
I got into real estate and really just kind of started learning and trying to listen to things like this, learn from other people that were producing at a high level and making good things happen. And what are they doing? How can I copy what they're doing to be more successful?
Yeah, you like the adage, standing on the shoulders of giants. You kind of want to learn from them, or use the McDonald's method, right? You just repeat and copy what they do and be successful as well. So,
right.
So you have a team that you've built. Tell me about your team over there. How long is it taking you to build that team? What are your expectations in the future for your team?
Okay. Yeah. Well, so I was solo for a few years and then, had a few good years leading up to the Great Recession of 2008. And to be quite honest with you, Tim, during that time, it was tough. If you remember, if you were around at that time, agents were leaving the business in droves, literally.
Sure.
Everybody was singing the blues around my office. Houses aren't selling. Nobody's buying. Prices are dropping. What are we going to do? And a lot of agents left the business. And I'll be honest, I was really close.
Yeah.
I got to the place that, we were dipping into our savings just to cover our bills. And I said, I've got to figure something out. And what's crazy is around that time, I really evaluated. I went into it with a lot of prayer and thought and evaluation and just said, I love this industry. I love what I do. I got to figure out how to make it work. Yeah. So I did 2 things at that time. I invested heavily into lead generation and also learned how to convert those leads and how to work those leads, and also hired a coach at that time. So when I really didn't have the funds to do it, I said, I've got to find a way, got to make a way. And I invested in my business rather than running away from it. And really coming out of the recession is when I started to grow and when I started to add more team members and actually build the team.
Nice. So you talked about lead generation, and I know you'll be speaking at the Georgia Residential Real Estate Summit coming up next week. And you'll be speaking at that. And one of the topics you're going to talk about is lead gen or selling more houses. Tell me a little bit more about that and what that's going to be about.
Yeah, so I'm going to be actually focusing on the lead conversion component of it. In today's world with the internet, it's not hard to generate a lot of leads, to be honest with you. But it's knowing how to convert those leads, what to say, how to say it, when to say it, and actually converting those leads to a client. So that's really going to be what my topic is how to sell more houses without buying more leads or without generating more leads.
Nice. Can you give us maybe what number one on the list is?
Well, we will go through, there's a lot of different leads.
Right.
So what we're going to talk about in the class is kind of how do you handle those leads? What do you say? If it's a sign call coming in, how do you handle that? If it's an internet lead, home search lead, realtor.com lead, Zillow lead, whatever it may be, how do you handle it? What do you say? Those are all various or all very important aspects. So
Right.
just knowing what to say and how to say it. That's the main thing that we're going to talk about. And then also the follow-up cadence. You can't just call them one time. You got to stick with it.
There you go. Yeah. Sometimes you got to chase them down a little bit, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, that's okay. It's worth it. It's worth it. So we talked about, how you got started in the business, and then we kind of talked about what you're going to speak about next week. Tell me about what, maybe the next, and I don't want you to break out your Swami hat or anything like that, but what's the next year or two look like for you? And are there any directions you're looking to go and looking to change into?
Yeah, so there's a couple things I'm focused on right now. One is growing my local team here because we do invest heavily in lead generation. We've got leads, we've got business for agents to do, and quite frankly, we need to add some more agents to my local team. So that's one of my focus is growing our local team here in Athens. And the second focus is, I've kind of grown to the point. I've got a wealth of knowledge, a lot of information in my head, and I've been successful, and I kind of feel like I'm at the stage it's time to kind of pass it on and help other people. So that's the other kind of thing I'm focused on over the next couple of years is really pouring into other agents, newer agents, giving them good content, giving them things that they can use. And actually, I have it's a work in progress right now, but I'm coming up with kind of a growth-minded agents community. So, I'm putting out some stuff on Facebook and YouTube and things like that, just for agents that are hungry and want to grow. I just want to be able to pour back into agents and help them as much as possible.
Oh, I think that's fantastic. I got to agree with you 100%, Justin. The day that you realize or you wake up and realize that helping others is a far superior feeling than, helping yourself. I think that's when a big change happens in somebody's life, especially in real estate, because we have so many coming in and out of the industry, and so few of them are successful right away. That's why your story is so interesting. It really took some work and the timing of it. Tell me about what you do to recruit new agents or to build your team. How are you finding those folks? Are they folks that just took the test and they're, hey, rip, roaring, ready to go? Or, how do you find them?
Well, it's been a lot of it, honestly, has been word of mouth.
Okay.
It's another agent will know somebody, and we're relatively small. I mean, we've got 6 agents on my team, so we're a small but highly productive team, which is also, but we do have the capacity to grow. And you hit on this earlier where you said, when you wake up and realize, hey, I can help more people. And when I started building the team, I did realize that, it was so much fun to see a new agent come on my team, pour into them, and then see them see success, and see them make a lot more money than what they were making at their previous job, and see their life really change. And knowing that I played a small part of that, they got to do the work. They got to be disciplined. They got to get out there and hustle and do the work. But to know that I was able to contribute to that, it is a pretty good feeling. And so while I've done that on a small scale on my local team, I want to try to do that now moving forward on a bigger team.
Gotcha.
On a bigger scale.
Yeah, gotcha. So tell me about Athens a little bit. Let's get homegrown. Very, very popular city in Georgia. No matter what your favorite team is, but pretty popular town. So tell me about the market there. And I'm not, I don't need to get into details on LTVs or anything, but what's driving folks to get into the marketplace there? And do you have a lot of investors in that area? And, how do you find your business? Is it for people moving out of town or from out?
Well, it is a university town. It's home of University of Georgia. We're about 60 miles east of Atlanta. And
Okay.
so we do have an influx of, people from Atlanta moving over to this area, especially with the remote working and things like that. They kind of want to get out of the traffic and the hustle and bustle of Atlanta and move over this way. It's Athens is one of those communities that it's large enough that there's things to do, but it's not so large that you get lost in the hustle and bustle and the traffic like it is over in Atlanta. But we're close enough to Atlanta. We can be at the airport in less than 2 hours. We can be just about anywhere in Atlanta in less than 2 hours, a little over an hour for this side of Atlanta. So just depending on what you need, we're close enough to those kind of amenities and things like that. So, but with it being a university town, we do have, parents that come by places to live for their students.
Yeah.
We've got professors constantly coming and going, folks related to the University of Georgia. There's some industry here as well that people move in and out for. And then there obviously, because of the university and things like that, there are obviously investors that buy rental units for student housing and things like that too.
Nice, nice. So has it stayed pretty robust, even with everything going on in the housing market, the big shift that we've all felt a little bit. Sounds like you stay pretty busy.
It has, homes are still selling. The frenzy, this is kind of how I like to put it. The frenzy's over. The days of the multiple offers and bidding, 20, 30, 40, 50 grand above list price. We're not really seeing that anymore.
Yeah.
In some instances, depending on what the location and the price point and how it's positioned, we are still seeing multiple offers occasionally.
Right.
And then, but then we're also seeing houses sit, and we're seeing some sellers negotiate with some contingencies. And, it's definitely shifting back to be a little more favorable to buyers and really more of a normal market. But, the market is still pretty strong. Homes are still selling in Athens, and things are still moving, just moving a little more towards a little more normalcy, where the FHA buyers and the VA buyers can now enter the market where they couldn't do that 6 months or a year ago.
For sure. Yeah,
So,
that's a very valid point. A lot of builders in that area, Justin.
that there's not a ton. We've got a couple local folks, and then 2 or 3 more corporate type builders that are in the area, but probably not to the level that we need it, honestly.
Really? Oh, that's interesting for sure.
Inventory still, it's low. It's been low.
Yeah.
And it's still relatively low in the grand scheme of things. It's higher than it was 6 months or a year ago, but it's still low when you compare it to the last several years.
Right. Yeah, I think there's still, with builders especially, I think that's what makes the housing market for inventory on the ground already so appealing, is with supply chain issues, everything else, they're still not getting houses built for a year and a half. So people don't want to wait that long. They really don't. They certainly don't want to wait because one stained glass mirror can't get delivered.
Yeah. Well, and some of these builders are reluctant to put out pricing until they get close to being finished, because they don't know what their costs are going to be too. At least that's the way it's been for the last year or so.
Yeah. And I know the mortgage companies, because I interview, mortgage lenders as well, and they're having to guarantee, make guarantees for 6 months, to get anybody to commit, because they're like, well, I think the Fed's gonna, residential buyers are funny like that. They're trying to chase that 50 basis points or whatever it might be. And so they're having to say, hey, okay, I'll lock this in for you. I've heard as long as 6 months, and that's a long time. That's a long time.
Yeah, especially in the volatile rate market that we're in today.
For sure. Well, Justin, how could somebody get in touch with you if they wanted to connect with you, whether they're a buyer, a seller, or they're an agent maybe looking for one of those positions you might be filling?
I'm pretty easy to find online. If they Google Woodall Realty Group, they should be able to find us, or Justin Woodall, Athens, Georgia. I've got YouTube videos out there, so I'm not hard to find. I would say just Google Justin Woodall, Athens, Georgia, or Woodall Realty Group. You should be able to find us.
Fantastic. And we are looking forward to having you on the Georgia Residential Summit next week. So excited to hear about leads and how to get more of them, close more of them. I always give our guests the last word. And it could be anything you want to talk about. It could be about your family, your dog, your business. Close this out.
All right. Well, I will say, I'm in December. My wife and I will celebrate our 20-year anniversary.
Congratulations.
So that's coming up, and we do have 3 children. So we're in the thick of it, running kids here and there and everywhere. So that when I'm not doing real estate, that's what I'm doing. But and so I would leave you with that, and then also just say to the folks listening, just kudos to you for trying to grow in your life and grow your business. And for those attending the summit, that's what you got to do. You got to learn from those that have gone ahead of you. So you're taking the right steps. Now, once you learn it, you just got to go out and take massive action. So that's what I'll leave you with.
Oh, that's good. That's great sage advice, Justin. I really appreciate it. Hey, and I look forward to talking to you again and, maybe catching up with you at a later date.
All right. Very good. Thank you.
All right. Talk to you soon.
All right.